An FBI agent enters the quiet interrogation room and sits across from you without saying a single word. They do not rely on a magical superpower, intuition, or a polygraph machine to unravel the hidden secrets of your mind. They rely entirely on biological science and evolutionary mechanics to decode your presence. Your brain cannot lie because it completely lacks the anatomical plumbing required to do so, while your highly advanced neocortex is busy inventing a plausible story to protect your social status. Your primitive limbic system is forcefully screaming the absolute truth. The struggle inside your skull is entirely physical and impossible to hide. Your pulse quickens and your hands begin to tremble as the mechanical delivery of your pre-rehearsed answers lacks the natural emotional cadence of truth. Every word you speak is carefully polished, but your body language is operating on a completely separate channel. Dr. Paul Ekman at the University of California spent decades cataloging human facial movements down to the microscopic level. He discovered that specific facial muscles twitch for a fraction of a second whenever a human being attempts to hide their true thoughts. This phenomenon is known as a micro-expression, an involuntary facial leakage that occurs before your conscious brain can actively suppress the emotional response. The truth flashes across your skin instantly and vanishes before an untrained eye can register it. If you experience internal fear because you perceive a direct danger, your eyebrows pull together and rise toward the center of your forehead automatically. Your lips thin out and your eyes narrow as the subtle contraction of your facial muscles betrays your internal panic within 1/25th of a single second. You attempt to mask this physical panic by forcing a wide, deliberate grin to put the investigator at ease. However, Dr. David Matsumoto at San Francisco State University conducted groundbreaking studies proving that even individuals born completely blind produce these exact facial expressions. The code for human emotional expression is entirely genetic and wired directly into your deepest DNA pathways. Your ancient ancestors relied on instant, non-verbal transparency to coordinate dangerous hunts and detect treacherous members within the tribal community. The survival mechanism persists to this day in every modern office, courtroom, and home. As you speak, your throat tightens and your salivary glands instantly reduce their moisture output because of the immense cognitive load. Your vocal cords tighten and your vocal pitch rises as the physical constriction of the muscles surrounding your larynx alters the acoustic frequency of your spoken words. The investigator changes strategy completely and asks you to recount your story in reverse chronological order. They want you to tell your narrative backward, starting from the final moment of the evening and moving systematically toward the beginning. Dr. Aldert Vrij at the University of Portsmouth has extensively mapped the precise cognitive mechanics of human deception and proved that lying drains your mental battery. Your brain must simultaneously hold the true memory, construct a believable alternative reality, and constantly monitor your own behavior for signs of guilt. A truthful mind navigates the historical timeline easily because the memory is anchored to real sensory data. A deceptive mind trips over the architectural complexity of its own invention. Because human memory is naturally indexed sequentially, forcing a deceptive brain to reverse the timeline shatters its fragile cognitive framework completely. Your processing speed lags significantly and your speech slows down as the immense cognitive effort leaves your conscious mind completely unable to maintain natural body language. Your eyes begin to dart to the left and your overall blink rate increases dramatically as a direct physiological response to the elevated stress hormones currently flooding your cardiovascular system. You clear your throat a second time and adjust your glasses to buy your conscious mind a few extra milliseconds to formulate a plausible answer to a dangerous question. The room suddenly feels much colder because your sympathetic nervous system has actively diverted warm blood away from your extremities to prioritize your large muscle groups for immediate fight or flight. The agent remains entirely silent and uses tactical pauses, knowing that the deliberate absence of conversational response forces an anxious brain to rush forward and fill the uncomfortable void with unnecessary explanations. You look down at your watch because this classic displacement activity signals a profound psychological desire to terminate the uncomfortable experience and escape the immediate environment entirely. Your feet shift their physical orientation and point directly toward the exit door at the back of the room. While you are maintaining perfect intense eye contact with the interrogator to appear confident, your lower limbs are preparing for an immediate physical escape from the threat. Your torso tilts backward slightly to create physical distance, indicating a deep psychological rejection of the current topic of conversation being presented by the investigator. You touch the side of your neck and cover your throat because this behavior is an ancient mammalian pacifying response designed to protect your most vulnerable jugular vein from a predatory attack. Your fingers stroke your collarbone and adjust your shirt collar as your nervous system utilizes repetitive self-soothing behaviors to discharge the accumulated electrical energy of stress. Your thumbs tuck away into your pockets because the sudden removal of your fingers from visible sight indicates a subconscious attempt to conceal your true intentions from the world. Your shoulders rise slightly toward your ears to shield your neck from a sudden physical or psychological blow from an opponent. You nod your head vertically and say yes, but your skull simultaneously executes a microscopic side-to-side shaking motion that completely contradicts the verbal confirmation you just uttered aloud. The physical baseline of your behavior shatters under the weight of your internal conflict. The modern world remains a massive theater where human masks are incredibly elaborate and deceptive. By shifting your attention from the auditory stream of deceptive dialogue to the crystal-clear broadcast of human biology, you gain total clarity over the space around you. You look past the spoken words and observe the cellular architecture of human nature. You sit across from a stranger. You see everything. The silence in the room deepens as the realization settles into your subconscious mind. Every single movement you make is being evaluated against a historical database of survival tactics. When your ancestors stood on the African savanna, they could not afford to misread the intentions of a rival tribe or a hidden predator in the grass. A single mistake meant the absolute end of their genetic line. You carry that exact same heavy burden today. Your brain is continuously scanning the environment for threats, calculating social hierarchies, and trying to predict the future actions of everyone around you. The federal agent across from you understands this biological reality perfectly. They are not looking for a confession. They are waiting for your biology to complete the story you are trying so hard to hide. Your breathing patterns begin to change as the interview stretches into its second hour. The initial surge of adrenaline begins to fade, leaving behind a heavy layer of chronic exhaustion. This is the exact moment where the psychological training of the investigator yields its greatest results. A tired brain cannot maintain a complex lie because it simply lacks the caloric energy required to feed the prefrontal cortex. The structural pathways connecting your memory networks begin to fracture, causing small discrepancies to appear in your spoken narrative. You try to compensate by adding more unnecessary details to your answers, but each new detail creates a fresh footprint for the investigator to track. The trap is completely invisible, yet it is entirely inescapable. Your eyelids display a subtle weight as your blink duration lengthens, a classic biological sign of psychological withdrawal from an ongoing conflict. When the human mind faces an overwhelming reality it cannot safely alter, it instinctively attempts to close out the visual field, to block out the stressor. This microscopic visual escape is immediately picked up by the expert investigator, who recognizes that your cognitive defenses are reaching a critical breaking point. The structural flow of the interrogation shifts as the psychological pressure begins to bear real fruit. The modern landscape of human interaction is filled with these silent, high-stakes psychological battles. Whether you are navigating a corporate boardroom, a competitive negotiation, or a difficult personal relationship, the rules of engagement remain exactly the same as they were millions of years ago. Human beings continue to wear elaborate masks made of words, titles, and social status. Beneath these superficial markers of civilization, the ancient biological broadcast never stops transmitting its true signals. The individuals who learn to decode this transmission are the ones who ultimately control the room and shape the outcome of the game. They do not listen to what people say, they observe what people do. The truth is never hidden in the words, it is written clearly on the skin, in the eyes, and in the quiet space between breaths. You sit across from a stranger, you see everything.